And we are live.
It's, I'm really honoured that you've thought of me to be one of your guests. We've just always lived in the countryside in really beautiful places, and I just love walking, foraging. My animals are very important to me. So, having a childhood like that was just magical.
Hello and welcome to the FarmettePodcast. I'm your host, Tamara Warhurst, and this is the show where we talk about the importance of the countryside and how it has shaped my guest's life. I have asked my guests to choose from a selection of themes from the countryside that have directly impacted their life. My guest today is the founder of AskCharlie, a lifestyle platform devoted to seasonal living, homemaking, and practical skills for modern family. At the heart of AskCharlie is a belief that life becomes richer when we slow down, reconnect with traditional skills, and create homes that feel warm, calm, and welcoming. Her work blends practical guidance with gentle encouragement, helping people rediscover the everyday joys of cooking, gardening, and family life. She is an author, currently working on her second book, and alongside her work, recently appeared on and won the Channel 4 television series Handcuffed, Last Pair Standing. The experience pushed her far beyond everyday routines, yet highlighted the same values that sit at the heart of her work: adaptability, kindness, and quiet determination. Charlie Gray, this is your rural life. Welcome to the Farmette Podcast.
Oh, what an incredible intro. Thank you so much, Tamara. Wow.
Well, I hope that does you a little bit of justice.
Thank you.
And your touching base. What's so brilliant about podcasts is that we can sort of link into people wherever they are. And you're currently in Barcelona, which is really kind, actually, on a work do. So thank you for taking the time for chatting to me today.
No, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. It's I'm really honoured that you've thought of me to be one of your guests, and it's lovely to be here chatting to you.
I'm so excited to speak to you about a number of things. But first, I want to touch upon the fact that you've just gone and won a television show. How cool is that?
Isn't it? It's been this really weird secret that it was, oh my gosh, you've won. And now you can't tell anyone.
So when did you film it? Did you film it, a year before? Last summer.
Last summer. So I've kept this weird little secret. And sometimes as I was going about my day before it aired, I'd just be walking up with the feed for the horses and just thinking, oh my goodness, I won that. It's crazy.
And you can't share it in that moment.
No, you can't share it in that moment. Yeah. I mean, literally immediate family knew, and that was it. So it's been really bizarre having this sort of little secret that only a tiny handful of people knew the outcome and what I'd done. They didn't even know I'd taken part. So it's very, very surreal. But wow, I mean, just an incredible, bizarre experience. I would never have applied to have gone on a TV show like that.
What made you do it, Charlie? What made you do it?
Really randomly got a message last April, so a year ago, in my TikTok inbox. And I didn't even really look in there very often. And it was, we're casting for a new reality show. It's a social experiment. It's bringing two opposing worlds together. We think you'd be great. Will you apply? And that was the message I got. And I said to the family, I've just had this message. And it seemed very genuine. They meant the channel and the production company. And so I didn't think it was
a spoof.
email message. And one of my sons and my husband was like, you'd be brilliant. They didn't tell me it was Handcuffed until about a month down the line.
No.
Conversations. And I didn't find out it was called Handcuffed. We were actually up in Scotland, not far from Gordon Castle. And we were up there for a week. And literally every day I was having interviews, and we had to have psych assessments. And they said, look, the channel wants you. Jonathan Ross want you. Would you like to know the name of the show? And I said, well, yeah, go on then. I said, it's handcuffed. And you will be handcuffed to your polar opposite. And I said, absolutely no way, I'm not doing that. I'm 45.
Really? Was that your... Oh
I
my gosh.
absolutely no. I mean, I thought, no way. And then we chatted about it and decided to go for it. And then I realized that actually it was handcuffed 24/7 and you couldn't get dressed or undressed in a normal way.
Sorry, this blows my mind.
And I said no again. I pulled out. Absolutely no way. I'm not up for that.
And at this point, did you know that your partner was going to be a man?
No, it could have been anybody.
Okay, so just for people that haven't seen this, you were partnered with a man, a lovely man called Rob, was it?
Yeah, Rob. Yeah. And Rob is 6'8" and my total polar opposite. And it was a bit like Blind Date, but with Jonathan Ross rather than Scylla. So we were on a stage with a screen and they called us out and they interviewed us. And then they put headphones on me and they called Rob out and interviewed him. And I could see the audience's face. I almost did a runner at that stage. Reading their faces, I knew that I was in for quite a different person.
Yeah.
I was talking about life in the countryside and how I'm happiest, walking across a field, foraging for something. And really, I should have been born, last century. But, they cast us very well. We're both content creators, just very different content. And I didn't find out until...
hang on, for our listeners, what content was Rob creating for? What did he do?
OnlyFans.
Okay.
So
it was taking photographs of himself.
And videos. And mainly for a gay audience.
Okay.
Yeah.
So something just like that you've never even been exposed to, I guess, and something brand new.
Yeah.
But that journey, like the journey that you went on, so how long were you handcuffed together for?
Initially 10 days. And if you survived the 10 days, then you got into the final. And then we went up to Scotland and it was a race. And we had to we were on a boat. They asked us lots of questions.
Yeah.
Of how well you knew your partner. And there were 5 couples that went into the final. 2 of them didn't continue on after the questioning on the boat. 3 couples got through, and then it was a race between the 3 couples from Scotland to Wales to London. And we had train tickets, no phones, no money, but the train tickets didn't take you from A to B. They just took you halfway. So you had to figure out the rest.
I mean, like, for anyone, this is just, it's crazy. I honestly, it's absolutely bonkers that you did it. And I think along with everybody else, it's just so cool that you not only did it, but you went and won it. It must have been such a brilliant feeling.
Yes, it was. It was, because it was so tough. I mean, I had to dig deeper than I've ever dug in my entire life to get through it.
Yeah. What was the moment where you thought, you know what, I actually can't carry on, uncuff me now?
Just the feeling of overwhelm. Like the first time you have to go to the loo and shower and sleep, and the physical exhaustion, and then the different scenarios and challenges that they put us in to test us. And we were locked in a derelict building for 24 hours with bread and water, and they were putting questions under the door that we had to ask one another that would wind us up, potentially.
Yeah.
Test our strength of character, I suppose. So,
it's quite extraordinary that television are creating these programs.
It really is.
And I guess the reason why they wanted you is because they knew that you were sort of so safe in your own beliefs and so secure that you could cope with all of that, potentially.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, we did have a lot of assessments to check that we were mentally stable and would be okay. And it did. And, you know, if you've watched the show, you'll see that there was a lot of drama and tension, not so much between Rob and I. There was a little bit at the beginning, and it's amazing how they edit things. We
heighten the drama.
Yes. And I think because we won, they had to create a lot of drama at the start. And that wasn't actually so realistic of what happened, but it's fine in the world of TV. Rob and I actually got on pretty well, and he was very respectful. He did try and play I don't know if I can say this word on the podcast, but
we can beep it out.
Beep it out. He did try to play fart games with me on the first day.
You can say fart.
And I just said, Rob, I'm not that kind of girl. And he said, oh, so you're more Princess Anne? And I said, yes, I'm more Princess.
I love it.
I just thought, no, I wouldn't play fart games with my husband. So
let alone you. So it's not.
I'm not going to start that now.
Oh my God, that is amazing.
And so he realised that he, needed to not be too laddish with me. And he was hugely kind of respectful, but we had fun, and that's a shame. They were only commissioned to have 6 episodes, and there was so much content.
So it could have been so much more.
There could have been so much more. I think they portrayed me as sort of quite serious, quite prudish, but actually we had a huge laugh every single day. We sung, we danced, we were wild camping, cooking on a campfire. Probably cooked about 5 or 6 meals on a campfire.
That's so cool. Well, lucky him for having you there.
Yes, I pitched 3 tents because we were with a few of the other couples camping. There'd been a competition again. They edited this all out. There was a boat race, Handcuffed. And we it was a challenge, and if you won, you got to spend a night in a castle, and if you didn't, you were camping.
I
see.
They
literally just gave us some tents, and nobody could pitch tents apart from me. So Rob was quite handy, actually. We did 3 tents together.
That is so cool. And can I ask you? You went and won between you both £100,000. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Can I ask what have you thought about what you're going to spend? You always dream, don't you? Like, God, if I won X amount, I'd go and buy that. Have you always had a dream of something that you'd love to buy?
No, I haven't. And actually, I am investing it in my business.
And that's so cool.
Taking a small amount's gone to charity. The majority of it's been invested, and I am taking the family on a holiday.
How brilliant! How brilliant! Well, I hope you enjoy your holiday.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's so cool. So, moving on from the TV show, you are the sort of, from what I can see and from following you for a while, you're the person that I feel is like the mummy of the influencer world and the content creating world. And I feel like you're there looking after everyone, and have built this huge following, giving your sort of audiences these life skills and that are passed down normally through generations. But today's world, I feel like those life skills are missing and not being passed down anymore through the generations, from your granny and your great granny and your mum and your aunt and your whatever, because also we don't live like that anymore. How important is it to actually get this back, to get that care and love and nurturing and creating a home back into society?
I think it's so important. I'm absolutely passionate about it. And I think that's where so many things have gone wrong, because those skills have been lost. And I think it's so difficult because as a society, it's about having a career. It's about working. It's about, women being equal to men. It's about, having to have it all and do it all. And actually, it's very difficult to have it all and do it all successfully.
Yeah.
And
Couldn't agree with you more.
there are things that then go, go by the wayside. And that is family time. That is cooking meals. That is sewing on a button when it falls off rather than throwing it away. That is, taking the time to talk to your children, to spend time with them, to communicate with your husband, growing things from scratch and then cooking with them and showing your children that actually if you grow some beans, you can go and pick them and cook with them and freeze them and do this and do that.
Yeah.
These skills are so important. And I think it's where things have got, I know it's where things have gone wrong. And, it's so handy to have ultra processed food and ready meals. But that has been the downfall to so many health issues, so many problems from this sort of convenience and fast food and fast fashion. And I want this now. And actually it is about slowing down and stepping back and looking after ourselves and learning how to nurture your loved ones and your nearest and dearest. And I'm really passionate about it. I see so many problems that are caused by lack of time.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm a real stickler for Sunday lunches. Because as you said, like life is busy and everyone's, doing their thing and the kids are at school and you're working and blah, blah, blah. And when I sit down at Sunday lunch, yes, it's been super stressful to get that sitting down moment. And most of the time, lunch is pretty stressful with 3 under 8s. But the conversations that you have in that, whether it's 2 minutes, 20 minutes, doesn't matter, they almost last you a week because they're fully focused, fully intense, and that you are there as a parent and your children, eating a good meal, and food brings everyone together. And that I wouldn't be able to do life without those Sundays because you just have that moment to reset and catch up.
Yeah, it is so important. And I think the communication and the conversations that you have through food and preparing food. I mean, I get mine to help me.
Yeah, exactly.
In the kitchen, prepare it, lay the table, do it together. And I think people think it's easier to just do it everything themselves.
Mm.
And that way they're in control, they're doing it, they know it's being done.
Yeah.
But it's so important to stop, slow down, take the time to show your children how to set the table, to peel the vegetables, to chop the veg, to washing up, to all of those things, because that's how they learn these skills. And that's what my mother did with us. And I didn't realize that she was teaching us so much when I was growing up. And my brother, she taught us equally. He's very, very capable and a wonderful cook. And Mum taught us to iron, to sew, to garden, to clean, to do all of these things. And we did it together and with her. And it was just invaluable. And a few of my friends said to me when my children were young, "What, you let them cook? Don't they trash the kitchen?" And I was like, well, yes, they do. But I can just vacuum it up and wipe the surfaces and it's absolutely fine.
Yeah. And also, don't you find like it gives children confidence if they can do these skills and learn, that suddenly they've got that confidence that can carry it through to the rest of their lives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's such a great feeling when you have cooked something, when you have prepared something and you sit down and somebody says to you, "That's delicious."
And you haven't burnt it or forgotten it.
Yeah. And you don't know if nobody's shown you how to do anything. And so I am always saying there's no such thing as a silly question. When I first started AskCharlie 7 years ago, I was surprised by some of the questions I was asked. I was like, gosh, really, do you not know how to do that? Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
because I just didn't realize that I had had an unusual upbringing. And now, and then I had to really reframe and be like, no, you can't react to that question, because I only know because my mother and my
Taught you
grandmothers
that.
took the time to teach me. And there is no such thing as a silly question. And I think it's really important that we take the time to teach our children how to change their bed, how to iron a shirt, how to write a letter, how to address an envelope. All of these things are really important. You could just do it for them or not bother doing it at all. But they're really important skills that I think give them a really good foundation.
100%. You know, I definitely feel that those kind of things, you know, are way more important than things like algebra, you know, that you learn at school, because what's algebra going to do for you?
Unless
Whereas
you want to do,
those, yeah,
serious
exactly.
maths. Exactly. But it's really important to be able to do, basic maths and bookkeeping and things like that. That would be a wonderful skill to learn at school, just to do,
I wish they did do that. Mortgages, business. I wish that was the curriculum.
Yeah.
And that's something I do feel, you know, I think the curriculum hasn't been changed in like 50 years or something bonkers. And it needs to be. It needs to
does
be
need to be.
updated.
It really does.
And include all these things that are going to help you with life.
Yeah.
You know,
Budgeting, meal planning, cooking. And, if people just ate better and exercised and
more.
walked and were a little bit more active.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to think of how our bodies were designed. And we were, we would go and hunt and forage for our food and gather and was active and climbing and, doing things and moving. And now we have such a sedentary life of just sitting down at a desk, going to a supermarket, ping in the microwave, and have a TV dinner. And that's how most people live. And it's so unhealthy. And that's why we've got so many of the problems that we have, health problems.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that every single person that has a child should sign up. And I wonder whether you should do like a sort of children's channel, you know, teaching just children or something that is sort of more aimed at them. I mean, it would
I would
be
love that.
absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. And I found through doing this, I really, really love teaching. I really enjoy it. I find it so rewarding when people, send you a message and say, thank you so much for talking about that or sharing me how to do that.
Because also what's cool about your thing is I think sometimes people can be quite embarrassed about not knowing how to do basic things. So the fact that they can log on to your channel and actually find out these things without having to ask, you know, it for those people it must be such a relief and such a help.
I do get a lot of emails and DMs from people that are embarrassed to ask publicly. So, could you talk about this? And
Oh, well, let's crack on into your rural life and start with the person. I think you mentioned her very briefly, but let's start with the person who introduced you to country life.
My mother. So Mum actually was born in London, but went up to Scotland when she was 18 and fell in love with Scotland. She met my father up there and she totally fell in love with the countryside. And we had a split life between Buckinghamshire and the Highlands of Scotland. And, right up opposite the top of Skye. It was very rural, very remote. And it was just the most wonderful mixture between the home counties and really, really rural. We had horses at home and dogs and what have you in Buckinghamshire. And then up in Scotland, we lived next to a farm. And so we were always involved. And then my parents had a painful divorce and Mum bought a farm on Exmoor.
Oh, cool.
And moved down there. And that is very, very, very remote.
Yeah. Even more so than Scotland almost.
You can't see another property. And it's very isolated, very rural. But we've just always lived in the countryside in really beautiful places. And I just love walking, foraging. My animals are very important to me. I would have a lot more animals if I could and if time allowed.
Yeah.
But my husband's always saying no, and I'm always saying, "Oh, just one more
Just
would
one
be
more.
great. Just one more. The more the merrier." It's
The
like, "Two
famous
might not
line,
do.
just one more.
Just
It's like
one more."
children. It's like, why not? Just one more. It's like, no, no, no. Actually think about this. It would make life too busy.
Exactly. So I've always, had a love for the countryside, and
Yeah.
I'm okay popping into a town, city for a short period of time, but I love waking up and just seeing space and beauty. I feel
Yeah.
so blessed.
Yeah. So with that, your place that you've chosen, is there obviously you said Exmoor, Scotland, Buckinghamshire, and where you live now. Is there a one spot or a place that you feel like is in your heart, is totally a place that you would call home, or you put yourself, if you're feeling a bit miserable, you put yourself there?
The Scottish Highlands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I just have such amazing, wonderful memories. And the freedom that we had as children growing up there was just incredible. My brother and I worked in a pub, Badacrow Inn, and it was probably, I'm thinking it was about a 45-minute cycle ride or boat ride. And depending on the
Wow.
weather, we'd either cycle or we would boat around.
Yeah.
And I got paid £1 a day for picking up cigarette butts and dog poo. My
Oh
brother
my
did
God.
my brother
Winning.
did the kegs.
Winning.
But it was such happy times.
Yeah. And
And those
also, I feel like children these days, it's very hard to give them those opportunities,
It's
isn't
so
it?
hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And, to be age sort of 8, 9 out on a boat, um,
You just wouldn't think about that now, would
you
you?
wouldn't think about that,
No.
but
And
I
like all
did.
the
And
health and safety, and
yeah.
it's almost other people actually looking on you and judging you, being like, you're letting your 8-year-old do what?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
We had a little island that I could row across to, and I built a camp and sometimes slept over there. I mean, it really was swallows and Amazons. It was amazing.
Oh my God, it sounds idyllic.
So, having a childhood like that was just magical.
Yeah. And that gives you, like you were talking about, all the life lessons, because you have to learn all that kind of stuff on your own. You have to be able to, if you row and get in a sticky situation, get yourself out of it. If you need to make a fire, make a fire. You learn all those skills at such a young
Yeah.
age that then
And we
it
would go and
becomes
help
that
neighbours.
life.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. We'd go and help the neighbours pull the lobster pots and carry a live lobster back and plonk it in a thing of boiling water on the stove, and that was
That was
supper.
supper. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's so cool. So with those wonderful places, have you got a smell or a sound that immediately sort of transports you to a place?
It would be walking on the beach and seaweed, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the smell
It's
of
really strong,
of
isn't
the
it?
beach
Seaweed.
and the seaweed just
It's
yeah,
sort of a great smell, but it's also quite a strong smell.
yeah.
Slightly unpleasant smell, but I know what
Yes,
you mean. It sort of takes you to a
it does
place.
take you, it really does.
I grew up
Yeah.
in a place called Sandbanks in Dorset, and back then, it was not what it is today. Oh my gosh, it was totally sort of, in the 80s and 90s, it was like this tiny, quaint. You could, like you said, run on the streets. We played cricket. All the families, kids played cricket on the main road, but that smell of seaweed, literally every single day of my life, it was just there.
Yeah.
And it is a good smell. It is a good smell. Um, Now, you talked about getting lots of animals, but has there been in your life one animal, whether it's domestic or not, that's had an impact on you or been there in a tough time?
Horses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Horses have been a huge part of my life, since I was a tiny child and still today.
And do you compete? Have you competed, or
I
is there a
competed.
yeah,
I used to event,
yeah,
but I have a muscle condition called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and
okay.
that was very, very problematic. And I was actually told I had to stop riding when I was a teenager. And I was
Really?
heartbroken. And a friend of my mother's said, try her side saddle, she might be okay. So I rode side saddle from when I was 15 until, gosh, about 10 years ago.
Wow.
And 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I broke my leg very, very badly.
From falling off a horse?
Yeah. I had a series of nasty accidents over a year. I shattered my shoulder blade, a couple of prolapse discs in my lower back.
Oh
And
my
then I
God,
broke my
Charlie.
knee and ankle a year after the shoulder. So it was ghastly. But I found a physio and she was really life-changing. And she said, if you get yourself really fit and really strong, you can turn your life around. And I have. So now I can ride any way I want. But
No way.
but I don't have a horse at the moment. I
Okay.
occasionally am allowed to exercise my daughters. And it's not the right time in my life to have my own horse, but
Yeah.
there will be the right time, just not now. I couldn't write books and be a good mum
Yeah.
and have my own. And at the
Yeah.
moment, it's funny how, for me, being my daughter's groom
I was going to
is
say,
my
isn't it
priority.
joy? And it's joy.
It's so much joy.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy to be doing the plaiting and the studs and brushing the horse. And,
Yeah.
you know, I've tried to get her to do as much as possible, but I love it.
Yeah.
Being her groom and helping.
Yeah.
So for me, it's perfect right now. And she events and is quite, you know, passionate and
Yeah.
ambitious.
So you're getting the sort of kick through her. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
And when you used to ride side saddle, was that in a sort of showing? Were you showing?
Yeah.
Were you
Yeah. I
really?
showed, I competed, and I hunted.
You hunted side
Yeah.
saddle?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Charlie, that's
Yeah.
insane. That's insane.
Yeah,
I
for
always
many years.
see like there are a few ladies that I have come across out hunting side saddle or showing even, and I think you're nuts. I mean, I'm nervous astride, let alone side saddle.
I
So,
actually felt more secure side saddle than I did ever, and still I feel more secure side saddle.
oh
But
God,
I think it's because I had so many problems with my lower back and hips,
yes,
and I'm not in pain when I'm side saddle. So I feel safer, if that makes sense.
yeah. Well,
But
being in
I do
pain
miss
is a
it.
horrible feeling.
But at the moment, I'm very happy being a groom.
Yeah. When you've been up in Scotland or on Exmoor, and I'm imagining you as a little 8-year-old in your little rowing boat, have you ever been caught short, sort of in a dramatic moment of weather or anything in particular that you can remember?
Well, I think the most dramatic moment was I had a little outboard engine, and my father had been tinkering with it, and he he put it back on the boat, and off I went. And I got halfway out to the bigger island that I was heading to, and
Right.
the engine cut, and he hadn't reconnected the fuel line, and I was quite far out, and it was dusk.
Oh God.
And I couldn't shout. I was too far out to shout to anyone.
And
Maybe
obviously
my
you
mobile
didn't have a
phone.
mobile phone.
No. And I actually didn't have any oars on the boat with me either. So I was just stuck there.
So
And
what
it
did
was
you do?
terrifying. Prayed. And luckily, I stood up and I took, I had quite a light coloured top on. I stood up and I took it off and was waving it, and somebody spotted me. But I knew that
that was your only chance.
That was my only chance. I mean, they would have realised, hopefully, at some point.
But still, you could have sort of, off you go and gone out with the tides or...
Exactly. It was quite scary. And I was probably only out there for about 15 minutes, but it probably felt like hours.
5 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're that little.
Yeah. I think that was my biggest sort of boating drama.
Oh
but
my
there were
goodness.
a few, plenty of riding ones and what have you. But they're character building, aren't they?
Totally. And I think actually those are always the moments that you remember in your life when something is completely dramatic and not on the right path that you thought you were going on. And those are the things that you remember, and they're the things that you learn from. And that is invaluable. It's so valuable to your life lessons. Yeah. So if I can imagine spending a lot of time in the car driving up to all these beautiful places, down parents, was there a piece of music, or is there a piece of music that you would listen to, or have you chosen a piece of music that reminds you of a person or a place or a moment in your life?
Yes. Gabriel's oboe, Morricone, it's just such a beautiful piece of music. It always stops me in my tracks.
Yeah.
And I stop and I listen to it, and I properly listen to it. Like, often you can just let music wash over you.
Yeah.
But that
And not really, it's just in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That just always stops me, and I stop and I think.
Does it make you emotional? But
Yeah,
is there a reason?
definitely. It is. I don't know why. We actually had it when we got married, playing in the church when we were signing the register. I just find it a really poignant, beautiful piece of music.
Yeah.
Which I love, and I love classical music. I love all sorts of music, but I do love having a quiet, reflective moment and listening to.
Yeah. I think sometimes, especially when life is so busy these days, you're constantly, maybe you've got the radio on in the kitchen and it's always this sort of battering of, swear words at you. And actually, when you take a step back and listen to some classical music and it's purely instrumental,
It's beautiful.
you do really appreciate it. I mean, I really appreciate it. The older I get, especially when you have those moments of peace and quiet, you're like, oh God, this is so lovely. Oh, Charlie. Well, I'm going to ask you to finish on a closing reflection, and that if you could take one thing from your life forward for the rest of your life, a habit, a value, what would that be?
To have a gracious heart.
Oh, that's so nice. You're such a nice person. We need more Charlies in the world. We really do.
I think it just, you can be angry, you can be grumpy, but actually, if you have a gracious heart, it gets you through so many difficult situations.
Yeah.
And it's something my mother taught me. And life isn't easy. It has its ups and downs and its twists and turns.
Yeah.
But if you have a gracious heart, it gets you through the difficult days, and it helps you grounded on the good days.
Yeah. Yeah, that is very true. I think that especially with the world that everyone's living in at the moment, you want it to be a kinder place. You want everyone to be a little bit, like you said, gracious and up for helping each other, and having those communities, and those, especially, like, I think rural communities are very good at that.
Definitely. And together we're stronger.
Yeah. Exactly. We really are. Well, there you go, everyone. Take a lesson from Charlie. So if people wanted to ask you questions or to follow you, where can they find your channel and stuff?
So my website is AskCharlie.how, How, and then I'm on Instagram, AskCharlieHow, TikTok, and YouTube. I have 2 videos on YouTube each week, and that's where I am.
And people can send in a request. I'm really stuck with making a chicken pie. What sauce do I need? Yeah.
Exactly. And a video that I've just done was a question from somebody that got in touch and said, please, can you talk about freezing food, how to freeze it, how to defrost it, and how to reheat it. And, again, if you haven't been shown, you don't know. And so I created a video and notes that go alongside it that people can print off of how to freeze, what to freeze, how long you can freeze things for, etc., etc.
So handy, so useful.
Yeah, but we all need to know, how
absolutely.
to without getting ill.
Yeah, exactly. And finally, you are in the midst of writing a second book. Are we allowed to know anything about that?
It's called Let's Fly.
Let's Fly.
Yeah, and there's no
Love it.
recipes. And it's about mindset. And I think if you are
Okay.
having a difficult day, there hopefully will be a chapter in there that can just offer some comfort.
Yeah.
And I very much have written it from, I'm not an expert, I'm not a guru, but this is, from the heart.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of ups and downs in my life, and a lot of difficult times and a lot of happy times. And I've drawn on all of those and put it in book number 2. I'm really excited about it.
And when is that launching? When can we buy it?
Hopefully, early summer.
Okay, so not long to go.
Not long.
Not
It's
to go.
with the proofreaders right now.
Oh
And
my goodness.
then we will, send it out to a few people to get some testimonials, and then we'll be going to print. So
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we will keep an eye. Let's Fly by Charlie Gray. I'm going to be buying it, Charlie. I think that it sounds like everyone needs it, to be honest, because every single person on this planet has good and bad days, and especially tough times. And you do need sometimes a bit of comfort to help you get through those things. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much for chatting to me.
Oh,
it's so lovely.
Honestly, I feel like I could speak to you for hours and I need to ask you so many things about cooking and all sorts of household things, but we'll save it for another time. But thank you so much, and have a great time in Barcelona, and we'll hopefully see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening or watching. Please share and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. I will see you next week.